to learn more and more about Dorothy after decades of being incredibly interested in her. Ever since, in my 20s, I first read her Grasmere journals. One of the beautiful things that Lilian Simmonds did on the walk that we just did was she talked about Dorothy's own conception of her prowess as a writer. Now, when she was describing her attempts to write poetry, verse that had a meter that was something like her brother's, she said, I can't do it, it falls apart, I'm terrible, nobody could ever mistake me for a writer. But in the practice of her fragmentary, women's, marginal, incidental journal writing, she took that very seriously. She called it my writing. If she stopped for a while, she would say, I had neglected my pen for 5 days, and that's a terrible thing. She took that quite seriously. It was a different kind of act from the act of writing that her famous brother did. One of the things I really notice about hers is that it doesn't reach glorious conclusions. She systematically and kind of scientifically, and also with supreme sensitive listening and seeing, let the land and the plants and people and everything be itself unfolded in front of her, and she documented it according to her own very honest and precise perception. I was trying to think of how to choose the little pieces that I want to read to you from these late journals. I thought I would think about recurring themes and isolate several. So I thought about spring as one of them. Spring in the late journals is extremely important. The spring is really important as regards her mobility. When the spring comes, she can get outside. And in 1830, she can romp around and walk and go far on her own feet. But in 1834, in those short 4 years, something has happened. And I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of the very mysterious physical forms of ailment, but they affected her legs. Sometimes she would say her legs were like marble. They affected her bowels. She had really, really sharp pain, agony, and different kinds of immobility. So the gardener, the beloved friend of the family, James Dixon, had a little cart that he and others wheeled her around in, and she called it being dragged. So I've got a section about the cart, a section about spring, which is when she could get out in the little cart, a section about pain, because pain has been so important in these journals, and a section about beauty and joy, and then another little bit at the end. So now I'm just going to read to you directly from the journal, 1834, spring. This should have been May Day. The sharp wind is gone. The sun shines. Birds warble. Grass grows so fast and so green, you do indeed almost see it growing. Trees at once bursting into half-leaf. Warbling birds, gleaming silvery clouds, everyone sauntering on the front. A warm, misty, mizzling, bird-chanting morning. Provokingly fine weather, for our 3 prisoners cannot stir out beyond the garden. Well, it is blessing enough for me to look on it. The rooks today joyously busy. Owls have been almost silent for 2 or 3 nights. No letters. I now sit with open window. My flowers everlasting and very pretty. A poor woman refused a lodging by Thomas Troughton on Tuesday night, slept with her husband in smithy hovel without straw or covering, next day proceeded and was delivered by herself of a dead child on the road near the quarry. Loveliest of Sabbath morns. How I long to be free in the open air. The birds are all singing. The earth and air and all that I behold seems in preparation for worship and Sabbath rest. The birds and beast have this one day's variance from bother or slaughter. William's birthday. Still very fine, but too cold for me, they say. Yet there is something in the air that oppresses me. I am not well. Sunshine to make me long to go out and feel it, but the blighting east wind still bars me up. Rain continues. Cold. All green things burst marvelously into light. My garden calls, but I cannot see her. This damp, rainy weather suits us not, but is grateful to the pining earth. Spring advances with speed. Lilacs in full blow, small red roses, sycamores and elms quite green in small leaf. Dora calls me to look at Mrs. Jobson's splendid apple trees. I have but a peep at them, but that is beautiful. Dora took me to Grasmere Lake. Never more beautiful, the oaks changing their first yellow to the purest of bright green hues. All the lake partook of life and happiness, as I said to William. There was a calm brilliancy surpassing anything I ever saw at that hour between 2 and 3. Was strong and able to work or read, mostly till bedtime. I found that moving from the winter to the spring, there was a marked increase in happiness. Whereas in the wintertime, even when it wasn't connected with pain, anytime she can't get out, she's not happy. So the little car, you can see a picture of it. There's one drawing of it that exists. I don't have it, but you can look it up online. And it's like, it's got, I think, rigid handles, and whoever pulls her around in it, whether it's James Dixon or the boys or, usually visiting men, she calls them her trusty steed. But it gave her great comfort. So this is about her little car. I have the inexpressible comfort of fresh air in my little car. James took me to New Terrace, a glorious bed of anemones, my treasure all winter. The weather has been delightful, and I have been out every day, except yesterday when the east wind and sunless air detained me. The air has not strengthened me according to expectation, and yesterday I suffered much sickness and pain. A gloomy morning and cold. I durst not go out till Mr. Archer came to me and said the air was now warm. He helped James to drag me 3/4 of an hour on the green terrace. Willie helped James to drag me twice round the mount and along both terraces. Much enjoyment and little vertigo. The air is very soft and sweet after long continued bounteous showers, but I fear the damp. Had a delightful airing 1.5 hours on green terrace with James alone. William lying in grass plot shaded with umbrella, and I passed him unperceived of him and not perceiving him, though close to him. The day charming. A newly fledged thrush could but fly to the top of the walk, the little wren busy, robin and white moth. Tired, but a sound sleep quite set me up again. The air now does me much good. I feel it day to day. Clear, hot weather as yesterday. Jane and George dragged me to Hayfield. Finest hay weather ever seen. Only the grass is too ripe, owing to the long continued previous rains. The boys dragged me a long time on the terrace. So I wanted to, I didn't want to talk about pain, because pain is, Virginia Woolf said about pain that it's the last great frontier in writing. We need to talk about it more. We need to write about it more. And she loved how Dorothy Wordsworth didn't shy away from describing it. It's difficult, but I'm going to read some pieces. I was fatigued and weak, and though in little pain could not see Mrs. Godwin till 8:30. William now mostly rubs my feet after supper, and also in the middle of the day. The night was very stormy, my flower pots blown down. I was very ill after dinner. Why or wherefore, I know not. Pain, sickness, headache, perspiration, heat and cold. But being exhausted and then free from pain, I slept pretty well, though often up and awake. This morning, bright and cold, and a hail shower falls from dazzling silver and dark clouds to remind us of past times and warn us not to expect a calm suddenly. Warm and beautiful, but afraid of the fatigue of downstairs. Sarah Latterthwaite and Hannah C. here, stomach better this evening, though in pain. A pretty good night, though one sharp fit of pain. A fine day, but was ill and fast in bed from 1:30. I rose, but was forced back to bed by sickness, tolerably free from pain attacks, though twisty and sometimes stitchy. Saw no company. Cold and in the main gloomy, yet with sunny gleams. I do not venture out, but have had no fire for 2 days and nights, tired and exhausted, with twisting pains. Slept remarkably well and almost free from pain. The morning fine, and I hope to get out. Cold wind brings pain, but I ventured to the office and downstairs, no worse, except in legs, very weak and stiff. One violent fit of pain in the night, else slept well, and on the whole am better, though particularly weak in limbs. Suffered much pain in the night, a stationary stitch, all night feverish with sore throat and chest and bowel pains. I could hardly speak. Mr. Carr came to see me. Head very bad, almost stifled above and below, sadly pained. The medicine relieved me. On Tuesday, very unwell, pain all night and all day. I attributed this to the heat, for I was oppressed and very weary. Wednesday, driven to bed by pain and sickness at 1:00. I was so ill on Thursday as not to be able to dress and continued in much pain all day, my limbs like marble. Everything comes in fits and starts. It comes and goes. Sometimes she's joyfully mobile, and then other times she's not. So to me, I think the medicine must have something to do with it, the opium that she took, and she was reluctant to take it, but she would sometimes say, I was forced to take it. I don't think she took it happily. But I just find it so interesting that the way we see her and the popular way of looking at her, it's like she's this diminished person whose mental ability is declining, and she's somehow discounted because of all of this, when in fact, all the way through it, she's awake and precise and lucid enough to document everything, including the times when it abates, and then she comes back to her painless self, which is the scientific and observant person. So here are some pieces about beauty and joy. A lovely morning, but the rain will not depart from its accustomed strongholds. Isn't that an amazingly good? A glittering morning travels over us. William gone to Mr. Harrison on money affairs. I have been noticing leafy, bright green twigs of elder among my spring and winter flowers, my garden of all the seasons, visited by the bees who solace me with their gentle humming while the birds warble sweetly. And there is the industrious, cheerful bittern taking no rest. Midsummer day, as we used to call it at Halifax, the fair, To children, the grandest day of the year, being held always that day. What a changed place since I used to hang out the window by the house to laugh at or enjoy the sports. I'm much better this evening. This I attribute to being spared the fatiguing pleasure of going out or sitting out of doors in enjoyment of fresh air. So to me, this is a very moving and tragic line. It's the very first time in all of the journals where I've ever seen her say that she's blaming the pleasure of going out for the subsequent pain that she endures, often for days at a time. It's a turning point. It's a point, it's in late 1834, and the journals don't go on very much longer after that. So to me, this is, it's not about mental decline, it's about negotiating the price you have to pay for the thing that keeps you alive and happy. So the very thing that keeps Dorothy visionary and quick and alert and happy is being outdoors and being able to commune with nature. And here she's saying, I'm better, and the reason I'm better is because I didn't go out. I have been spared that fatiguing pleasure. Then she says, it's clear and cold, but the ground is damp, so I will venture nothing. Then, a very fine day, I was out and stayed too long, cheated by the pleasure. That is just so sad, isn't it? She's still trying to go out, but she's looking at it as an inevitable impossibility. The loveliest of lovely days, yet I had the resolution to stay within doors, being weakly. But then, 4 years earlier, something happens, also in the spring. Mary with William in spring attire goes off to see the Harrisons, and I to a solitary ramble. Now before this, she's been on a very rare walk alone with William. It was like the old days. It was a walk in which they were completely open to one another and completely in communion with the land and the blossoms and the trees. And so off he goes with Mary in their spring attire. So now he's gone, and she's left to a solitary ramble. I revisited Prospect Point and paced backwards and forwards near Yew Tree Rock in the company of ewes and lambs. This is something that they had always done, this pacing backward and forward. And pacing backward, it's almost like right now she's pacing backward in time. And you notice that she's nowhere near the little cart. This is just 4 years earlier, and she can get around. There's still a fire in my room. I hope to leave it off tomorrow morning. I've heard the cuckoo for the first time, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. His visit to our shores, unusually late. Friday, the 30th of April, very warm, sunny, and delightful. Jane tells me the doves are building a nest of their own with sticks blown into their cage. All the birds are busy shouting, warbling, or building. Then on Saturday, the 1st of May, again a fine morning, showers in the afternoon. Sun bursts out before setting, unearthly and brilliant, calls to mind the change to another world. Every leaf a golden lamp, every twig be dropped with a diamond. The splendor departs as rapidly. To me, that is so telling, so beautiful, and so indicative of so much more than the external sunset.